So today we want to focus on, this is our objective for today. So there was a presentation at the last board meeting that focused on our intentional actions to support Black African American student success. And our conversation today is going to be centered around some of the highlights of that presentation and allow you an opportunity to provide feedback and also ask questions. If we don't have the answers, we will get them for you. And then we also want you to share this information with others. We're going to share the link that the board presented, that was presented to the board. So you can, if you want to see the entire thing, you can. Again, we're recording so that we can make sure that others have access to it. So that's our focus. And so real quickly, just so that you know the vision of the district, we always center ourselves with why we do what we do. And that's the vision that we all use in the district. These are our core values of what we believe, what we value. So you can take a look at those. This is what guides our work and who we are. And then these are our goals that we say, okay, this is what we're going to focus on. And these goals were a result of feedback from this group, other parents, students, staff. And this is where we landed that our board said, yes, this is what we want to go with for goals that we want to make sure represent Natomas Unified. So you might be wondering, well, why the whole thing about how we're supporting our Black African American students. So I want you to look at this screen, and I'll get to the why, and this is part of the why, but one thing that I want you to know is that Natomas Unified is an extremely diverse school district. And I don't think our families understand that until they go other places and recognize that we are extremely diverse. Our African American students actually represent the second largest group in the district, behind our Hispanic Latino students. So I think that's important for you to know where we are in this district in terms of our demographics. The other thing is we represent about 17% when you look at the total population of like the percentage, okay? We have some pretty good grad rates, and so we just want to show you that how we compare with in the state. Always room for improvement. And then when we say A through G, we do really good with making sure that the courses that our students are enrolled in, they are the courses that colleges require you to have. And so we make sure that all of our courses are A through G. So as our students are taking the courses, when they want to apply to college, they're going to be eligible. One other thing I just want to share with you is that our dropout rates for our African American students in Natomas is 1%. In the state of California, it's 14%. So we really try to do what we can to retain and keep our students engaged and connected. And with that, I want to share with you the why. Why now? Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we focusing on this group? And why are you here today? And it really is grounded in some of these slides that I'm going to share with you right now. This is our English language slide, which is pretty much reading, comprehension, when you hear the word literacy, understanding what you're reading and being able to read it fluently. Our scores are not good. They're horrible, actually, for our African American students. They're mediocre district-wide because we're like right at the 50%, right, just under. But look at that bar where our students are. And we were going up. If you notice, from 2017, we started to go up in a trend. Then the pandemic hit right after 2019, and that's why you don't see anything there for 2020 and 2021. And now we're going back down. So where we were having a trend of going up, we're seeing that we're going in the wrong direction. So something needs to be done, and it needs to be done quickly. This is our math. And again, this is based on test scores. This is just one of many measurements that we use to see where our students are. Now, obviously, their grades, their performance on tests within the school, reports, all that stuff is factored into that. But we also look at this, how are they able to perform and answer some of the questions? And we know that some of the questions might be biased or they may not understand. And that's why we look at other metrics and measurements. This is not the only one. But look at our math, where we are in math. African American students, 11%. So when you look at this, if someone said, oh, my child scored in the 75th percentile on the state testing for math, okay, that means that they scored better than, they're in the top 75%, meaning they are well above the 50%, and they're in the top 25% of performing individuals on the math. They scored that high. If you say 50%, then your child is like right there in the middle, okay? Look at this. It says 11%, meaning bottom. Not good. We've got to do something. So that is the why. That is why we are here today. That is why there was a report at the board meeting. That is why what you're going to see, there are some actions that the district is putting in place to begin to really concentrate on our students specifically, in addition to all the other things that are already happening on a day-to-day basis in the classroom. This is in addition to that. So take a look at the screen and you'll see how we have organized our strategies specifically to improve Black African American student success. And so the things on the top there that are in different colors, those are the goals. And I showed you that slide of the goals that the board approved. And so under each goal, you'll see where our focus is, our strategies to reach those goals. So just really quickly, for maximize academic growth, responsibility, and achievement for each student, what we need to do is we need to focus on literacy, academic, coursework and programs, college and career, and curriculum that is culturally responsive, materials and strategies. Under the goal of cultivate the social, emotional well-being of each student, we need to focus on attendance and eliminating any disparities or disproportionality in the way our students are disciplined. So that has to do with suspensions and remedial, punitive practices. For the third goal, create a safe, engaging environment where students connect to school. That means, our sports, our enrichment activities, student engagement, is their voice heard, student voices, and do we have equity-based policies and practices in place? Safety is also a big part of that. Do they feel safe when they're at school? And then engage parents and families to support student success. What type of engagement, education that are we providing to our families so that they have the tools and they're equipped to support their children? And then hire, train, and retain high-quality staff. What are we doing to recruit high quality teachers and diverse teachers so that our students have teachers and administrators that look like them, that they can identify with? And how are we supporting them with the right training and professional development and the coaching so that they're successful? So you are going to have an opportunity after each goal. I'm going to stop because when we normally have diverse conversations, I don't like to do a lot of talking. I like to listen. But this one is a little different because there is so much information that I want to make sure you have, but we're going to stop after each goal. And we're going to focus on that one in particular to provide you an opportunity to give us some feedback and answer any questions before we move on to the next goal. So just grounding, this particular slide, as you look at it, everybody gets this. No special group, everybody. And so as I was talking about, in addition to what the district is already doing, we have additional actions specifically for our Black African American students. These are just things that you should see that we're already providing to all of our students, okay? And these are some things that we're doing. Second slide that just shows you a little bit more. Just take a look at that. Some of the things that we're already doing to support all students, okay? Now we're going to go into specifically what we're doing for Black African American students when it comes to that first goal, okay? So some current actions that you should know is that last year and continuing with this year, we have invested in some culturally represented books that are in all of our libraries. These books are more reflective of the students that represent the Natomas Unified School District. So there are books specifically by Black African American authors that have subjects in it that represent that population, as well as the others as well. But since we're talking about this particular group, I'm going to speak to that. But we purchased over 3,000 library books that reflect the diversity of our student population. And these are new books that are infused throughout the district. We also are continuing, we have a race and social justice course that we offer. We have a pilot African American Studies course. You'll see it says AP, which means it's advanced placement, which is excellent because it's A through G, which is a college requirement, but it's also very rigorous. And they may be able to get college credit for it because it's AP. So 35 students are enrolled. It's a pilot, so we haven't put it all throughout the district. Right now, it's at Natomas High School. So we'll be keeping our eye on that to see how that's going. We have partnership with UCAN. UCAN focuses on our historically Black colleges and universities. Our students have access to the mentoring and the support that UCAN provides at all of our high schools. We also have the staff development to help with culturally and linguistically responsive vocabulary. In a nutshell, that is helping our staff to understand when students use words or slang that may be very popular or used in their cultures, that they understand how to take that and apply so that everyone is saying the same language. So sometimes you may think that a student may not understand something when they actually understand, but maybe they call it something different. So there's some teaching and learning that's going on with the linguistics and culture and all of that. So to build up on that, we've got some exciting things planned. We've got some book bundles that we are going to be sharing out where students can take them home and read them with their families beginning in winter of it says 2023, but that actually should be 2020. I guess it's starting now. So yeah, that is right. Start right now, this month. Freedom Soul Media Program, which I'm going to share a video with you so you can see what that is. That's beginning next week. And we're piloting that at Natomas Middle School and Natomas High School. We've got some other things that we're planning in the summer. We're exploring a freedom school for the summer. We are targeting tutoring for identified students who need that extra support. And we're doing some early literacy invention for students. When you see tier 2 and tier 3, that means tier 1 is your base. Tier 2 means they need additional support, and Tier 3 means they need severe support. So those are the students that are really struggling extremely. Tier 2, they're struggling, but not as to the extent of the Tier 3. Okay. So let's pause for a minute before we move on. And like I said, I'm going to show you a video of the one on the right at the bottom of your screen. It's called Building Leaders and Activists with Collective Knowledge. That is part of the Soul Media that we're launching at Natomas Middle School and Natomas High School. The books over to the left, that's part of those book bundles that it's going to help with supporting literacy at home with our elementary students. And then the thing up to the right, you can kind of see a little bit of it. That's part of that professional development I was talking about linguistics and vocabulary and responsive text that is going to help with supporting our staff and our teachers so that they understand language as well. So I'm going to just take a moment to stop and see if anybody has any questions or any feedback on this particular item of discussion that we're talking about.
We do have a question in the chat from April.
Okay.
Are these books going to be offered in English courses? My daughter mentioned in her freshman English class, the book selection is not diverse at all.
Thank you. The books that I'm talking about are pretty much elementary for right now, those book bundles. The information that, and I wish Tanya was here. She is our expert. She will be here tonight. She couldn't make it to this session. We are looking at, is your daughter at Inderkum, Leroy, or Natomas?
She's at Inderkum.
Okay. So the Soul Media, wow, is an example of how we're trying to infuse some of that literature that you're talking about in English into our high schools. But it's a pilot. So right now, they're going to be at Natomas High School and Natomas Middle School, so we can see how this is going to work and the impact that it has. You know, we talk about standards and how everything has to align. And so with Soul Media, it does that. And so I will actually, we have your question. I'm going to have Tanya Gerald to give you more detail on that specifically, April. So I will get with you beyond this, because that's an excellent point. I'm sure she would be probably more interested in what she's reading if it's something that she can, you know, if it's diverse. So thank you so much.
And just to add a note too, so she comes from Natomas Charter. She was at PFAA. And, you know, one of the things that they did there was they did have a diverse book selection in their English classes. And so they were reading books that were more relevant, more current, and more modern. Right. And so the books that she's reading right now, she's like, Mom, I'm reading books. Was reading a book last semester, Animal Farm, which if you're familiar with that book, this book is like from the 1930s, which I understand the relevance of reading historical books, but her point was like, it doesn't really keep her interest, right? She's an avid reader as well. So just something to think about.
And what grade is she in? Is she a freshman or sophomore?
Freshman, yeah, this is her first semester at Inderkum.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes, we will be in touch with you. Thank you so much. And those are things we need to hear so that we can address it. And if it's already being addressed, so that you know, and your child can let you know whether or not it's happening. So, because sometimes we're not in the classroom, so we can only go off what the students are telling us. Yes, Amber.
Sorry, I'm not fast with muting. I was going to comment on the Freedom School. Yes. My kids have participated in the Freedom School through the other district and through elementary and junior high. I think it's a great program. So I do think if it is adapted by the Natomas School District, that would be a wonderful thing for our students. even if it's just the summer program, but they also offer an after-school program. We haven't had the luxury of being able to take advantage of that, but the summer program is amazing, and I think it does wonders for the kids.
Thank you.
And they
Yeah.
also have the diverse books there too as well. Sorry.
And we
go
are
ahead.
looking at summer and beyond. So that's what I was going to say, summer and beyond. Yes, I've heard some amazing things, and that's the thing. We want to hear from parents. Let us know what's working, what did. So you see, it's on there, and that is a result of what our parents told us. So thank you. We have heard you. Yes, Ms. Thurman.
Just wanted to ask 2 questions. We were asked to submit questions ahead of time. I'm wondering if you have a list of those. I can't find the ones that I submitted.
We can get them. I haven't seen them, but if we can look at them. And I apologize for that. I should have been looking at the list. I was so concentrated on getting people here. I did kept doing marketing up until the very last minute yesterday, trying to get some. Yeah.
Yeah. We appreciate what the district is doing. And Amber, you're right. The Freedom Schools was offered this summer because Natomas Black Parent United and other parents advocated for it for a couple of years. So thank you for speaking to that. So my question is, for the 2,300 students that are African American, the reading proficiency rate shown by the state put about 70% of our students below grade level. I would like to know what the district is going to do for, it computes to about 1,600 students who are African American who are reading below grade level. What is the district doing on a broad systemic scale to make sure that those 1,600 students are brought up to level? I know that the Freedom School media component will touch 300 students. I'm imagining that they already know how to read well because they're being invited into a writing program. But what happens with the other students? And yes, our district has some Improve Your Tomorrow and other side programs. But how over time is the district going to show that those 1,600 plus students have improved their reading to their grade level?
Well, the first thing to understand the CAFs, everybody doesn't take the CAFs. So all of our students are not represented in that number. So I should have mentioned that before. You only take the CAFs at different grade levels. So it is not reflective of the entire population of our African Americans. It does give you, though, a good picture of the severity and the work that needs to be done. So you can say, based on this, there probably are some dips because these are some of the same children that are going through the system. The other thing that you should also know about Natomas Unified is that we are a transitional district. It is very unique that we have students that come here at the beginning and go all the way to the end. And it's not because of the district, but it's because of the Natomas community. People generally move here in the middle, or they move out because, they got a bigger house. I mean, there's all sorts of things. We have a lot of apartments. So all these factors go into who is our students and who we have control over. So sometimes we get students that come in the 10th grade, they're not from here, and we have to meet them where they are. So part of this whole presentation, Ms. Thurman, is exactly what you just asked. And so with me not being a expert, I can't tell you, it's not just one thing, as you know, it's a whole bunch of things combined. That's what the presentation is about. It's about what you just asked. What are we doing? And so that's why we're here, to share some of the highlights of what we're doing. There are baseline that every student gets, and that's the percentage of all students. Then based on test scores, performance in class, assessments, needs, all of that, that's how you determine those students that need that extra support. So some of the things that I'm talking about, they're for the ones that need that extra support that we've assessed. And we know when we say our African Americans, so we're not talking about all, because we have some that are at the top of the class, but we're talking about the ones that are struggling and how do we support them. So if you still have those questions and, we're not able, and I know you were at the board meeting, so I know you've already seen this, but for any of you, if we don't touch up on some things, we can get with you afterwards. Like, for example, let's just go back to this slide. Okay, when we talk about what are we doing? Well, we have an entire systemic strategic literacy plan. We invested money in some programs that students are using day to day in the classroom. One is iReady, and it has assessment tools, so you know where the students are struggling, so that you can concentrate on those areas and help them to get strong there before moving on. And that's just not in reading, but it's also in math. And then you can review the data to make sure that those students who are still struggling get extra support. There's also additional teacher training so that they can do different things in the classroom as well. And there's other things that are happening site-based, but this slide right here gives you kind of a glimpse of how all children are being touched. And then looking at those who need those additional supports, they get some of this. And these things right here, these are for our students, specifically Black African American students. And so there's some winter session stuff that they're going to be invited to attend, which is going to be an extension of the school year. There's going to be some things that they're invited to attend during spring breaks, which will be in addition extension of the school year. That will also happen in the summer. And then there'll be some things that they can take home so that the parents can work with them as well. And this is in addition to what is happening day to day at the schools. All right, so let me just show you this video. Remember we talked about Soul Media and the Black program, and we're piloting this right now at Natomas High School and Natomas Middle School with 300 students. This kicks off next week, and there's also a family engagement component. And so again, we want to see how this works there, look at the results, and if it's doing what it's intended to do, then moving forward, we can share this at other schools with the hopes of getting some similar results. So just take a look at this.
Greetings, community. What's going on? My name is Tyson Amir. I'm the author of the books Black Boy Poems, the Black Boy Poems Curriculum. I'm the founder and director of Freedom Soul Media Education Initiatives, and I am the creator of the Black program. Folks, students, staff, community of Natomas Unified School District, welcome to the Black program family. Natomas Middle School and Natomas High School, y'all are the newest members of our Black program family, and I'm so excited, and more importantly, y'all, I'm honored by this opportunity to work with you all for the rest of this school year. And I'm gonna tell y'all, it's an honor for me to be working with Natomas Unified School District because my story begins in Sacramento. My mother and father, they met there. My grandma, she lived in the Sacramento area from the 1960s on. So for me and the family that I come from, the knowledge that was instilled in me, it's important for me to do what I can to carry on the traditions of my people and to look after my community. So the Black program, what is it? It stands for Building Leaders and Activists with Collective Knowledge. And it was born out of the tradition of one of our ancestors, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who said, a people without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. And what we all know is that the curriculum that our students are subjected to on a daily basis is not teaching them about their history, their culture, their origins, and their traditions. The Black program is going to be an opportunity for all of us to be rooted in a deep understanding of our history, of the knowledge of our people, and the knowledge of who we are and where we come from, which is essential for everybody, especially our Black students. So y'all, please come out. We're gonna have sessions at Natomas Middle once a month. We're gonna have sessions at Natomas High School once a month. And then for the community, for the staff, for the family, for community members who are tied to Natomas Unified, we got space for you too. We're gonna have community events throughout the rest of the school year where y'all can come, we can talk. I want y'all to meet me because I want you to know who's in front of your students, teaching them and working with them and building relationships with them. And then we gather together as a collective in the spirit of our Black program, building leaders and activists with collective knowledge. We practice gathering, so we support each other. We nourish our young people. We empower them with the knowledge of their history, their culture, and their tradition, and allow them to use that to inform them as they move and make the change that we know that they can make in our society. So y'all, I can't wait. I honestly cannot wait to be there in Natomas Middle School, in Natomas High School, and in the Natomas community working with you. So until then, y'all be well, be safe, empower.
All right, so let's stop there and just give me your feedback. What do you think? Any questions that you might have?
I don't really have a question. I just have a comment. I can definitely respect the program. It sounds like a really good program. And I can appreciate the time that he took to make that video because that keeps us well informed on what his intentions are and what we're putting before our children. So I'm definitely interested in checking it out for myself.
Great, thank you. Our families will be getting that video if they haven't already received it, those that were invited to be a part of this. And so there's strategic work that is being done to reach the students that need it the most, and then to expand to the next tier that may not need it as much, but we still want them to be a part of. Because keep in mind too, we need the support of the parents to say, yes, we want them to be involved in the program. So hopefully, and I feel too, Amber, that they will have the same reaction that you did and I did when they received that video, specially made and presented to them.
We have 2 questions in the chat. Both are regarding if the curriculum will also be implemented at the elementary schools.
Okay, so the question to that is, this particular one right now is focused on middle and high schools because of the age appropriateness, but we are doing other things that are similar in the goal of culturally responsive materials at the elementary schools. I know we have some K-8s that Natomas we provide, and so if this works well with our middle school students, there is a possibility for next year that it could be provided at the K-8s where we have our 6th, 7th, and 8th graders there. So we're trying different things for different grade levels, depending on what it is, so it's age appropriate. We will let you know. And what was the other one, Kathy?
It was the same question.
Okay, great. Yes. So there are lots of things. And for those of you who didn't see, we're going to make sure that you get this presentation so that you can go through it on your own time and see what applies to elementary, what applies to secondary, where do I fit in? Okay. So the next part that I want to share with you, oh, there we go again. Let's see here. Let me make sure. Okay. So we only have like 15 minutes, but the next four goals will not take that long. The foundation, obviously, academics are extremely important, but all these other things are important so that students can concentrate, because if they don't feel welcome and they're not at school, they don't feel safe, they can't learn. So goal number 2 has to do with our social, emotional needs and supports for our students. And so you can look at some of the current actions that we have to support our Black students. And part of it is really, first of all, trying to make sure that they know the importance of attendance, but also how to behavior-wise, different strategies and ways to deal with conflict and conflict resolution. And when things do arise, what is the way that we restore and not solely when possible, not go to suspensions, but, are we able to mediate this through restorative circles? Now, certainly there are some things that we don't have a choice, but willful defiance and disruption, those are subjective. And so we don't suspend for willful defiance and disruption in Natomas. There are some other things that are automatic because it's ed code and for the safety of everyone's. But we have some girls groups that we are piloting to help. And just to give you just a little bit, we know that there's some issues going on at some of the schools in terms of girls just really expressing themselves through a lot of fighting. And it's just been happening too much. This year, Inderkum is just the hot spot. It seems like, and to be honest, parents, it is not the boys, it's the girls. That is where we're seeing it. And most of it is about things that are very frivolous, but it's just how they are reacting. Someone said something. I saw something on social media and she didn't say it was about me, but I know they were talking about me and this boy, and it's just ridiculous. And so we are working with a group right now to start some more female mentoring on campus with an outside organization. Our social worker has a group that she works with on a consistent basis. And these are some of our girls that have been suspended for fighting and having some issues. But beyond that and extending it, we're really trying to get more support to help the behavior change. And then also for them to have a safe place to talk about what is going on and why are they so upset and why are they angry. So we recognize we're not turning a blind eye to what's going on. We're well aware. I see the videos. I know what's going on. And we're trying to do things to help. So I may be reaching out to some of you, to help in some respect and support in that area. Okay. And so goal 3 has to do with safety and also student voices. And so just take a look at some of the things we're doing. This is where we try to get our students involved and interested and active in school. We have found that when students are connected, they enjoy school. Think about our football players, our basketball players. Hey, nothing is going to take them away from being on that field or on that court. And they know that they have to keep their grades up. They can't be in, getting in trouble and suspended. It is something to look forward to. And that is the group that they start to be with. And then they all implement that. And so we're really trying to make sure that our students have things that they like to do, that they like to attend, that they feel connected. One suggestion from the Natomas Black Parents United, one of the members, she had contacted me last year and said, hey, can we get our students to have a membership in the California Black Student Union? And I said, I don't see why not. And so I reached out to our Black Student Union or campuses that have them, because we have one at Natomas High School and one at Inderkum. And I asked the advisors, is that something that you would be interested in? They said, you know what, we have always wanted to be a part of that, but we didn't have money in our budget to pay for it. So we paid for that. And it gives them access to all sorts of resources, conferences, opportunities, scholarships. Many of you know that we partner with IYT, Improve Your Tomorrow. And so they are focused on our young men of color, trying to get them mentored and into college. We have other organizations that we partner with. iVibe, they do female mentoring for us in the summer, 100 Black Men. They have things going on Saturdays. And the list just goes on and on. We have more things that are coming, actions in development. There's a Spring into Excellence spring pilot, and that's another thing that's going to be geared towards our African-American students. I don't have all the details on that, but I know it has something to do with, enrichment and getting them more involved. And then quickly, because we're running out of time, goal 4 has to do with our family engagement. So with that, I want to hear your ideas and any solutions that you have to help us get more of our families involved. One of the things we stopped doing was utilizing participation as a metric of us being successful. Because as Ms. Thurman knows, there have been times where it's just been me and her on here. And we have tried everything possible to get our families to come. We know that their intentions are pure and they want to be engaged and they are engaged. But, we got to show support. And so if we have a space that we're allowed to have, it is very disheartening when we don't have any kind of good numbers to show. So I'm going to challenge everyone on this call to come back. When we ask for our people to come, be there, tell a friend, tell others, because it is hard to say that, yes, this is important to them, but they don't show up. And so we do text messages, we do reminders, we post, we send emails, we post in Parent Square, we say, tell a friend, we try to do it early to give you enough time, at least it's, but we do know that there are some good things also happening at our schools too. And parents usually connect more with their schools than they do the district. But just wanted to put that out there. And then I'm going to go over one more slide, and then I'm going to stop talking and just give you time to get any of your questions answered. So this is one of my favorites that I feel like is going in a great direction. So we're finally getting more diverse candidates that want to come to Natomas and that are here and that are staying. So you see that line, that trend is going up of our staff that represents our Black African-American population. And so you see management has increased 18.92. Look where we were back in 2016-17. And then look at where our teacher is not a big increase, but at least it's increasing. And part of that is people don't want to be teachers. And it's unfortunate, but they're not getting their credentials. And if they're not getting their credentials, what are we supposed to do? So that is a state crisis and probably a national one of how can we get more people to want to be teachers in the classroom. So one thing that Natomas has is we have this program called Diverse Future Teachers, and it's designed to recruit diversity. And it is making some great adjustments in Natomas. This is our 6th year, and our board keeps putting money behind it to continue funding it. So we're excited about that. We also have invested a lot in professional development to talk about race. And so some of the current actions is, you can see one of the trainings at Natomas High School that's happening. We do have training though across the board. I want to mention that there's some training that's going on across the board. At the beginning of the school year, every staff member was invited to attend a professional development training on anti-bias and anti-racist, knowing what it is and how to address that within yourself. And we work with a renowned educator. His name is Dr. Sharaki Holly, and he gives it to you straight. And even after that, he is offering coaching with our principals and more staff and training. So a lot going on. And as I mentioned, so much, can't do it all in an hour, but we will give you more information so you can have time to go through it. But meanwhile, I just want to give you an opportunity to ask any questions, leave some final thoughts. Kathy is going to put in the chat our post survey. Please, please, please complete it. If for some reason you don't get a chance to, she's going to email it as well. But as you guys know, it's easier to do something now than later. Otherwise, something else happens and then we forget, and we have good intentions, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. So with that, any final questions, thoughts, comments?
We have one in the chat from Sharon. How can parents find out the actual grade level of their child's reading and comprehension skill set?
So for their specific child, we will find out and we will send it to this group. I will tell you, I do know when the students take like state testing and things like that, they always get the scores. But what happens in between there, I know that there are some assessments, and I want to know, what does that look like to the parent? So that will be a question that we will definitely ask Ms. Gerald, Ms. Thurman, and make sure that we get back with families. I mean, first of all, any parent should be able to ask a teacher and should be able to get that. But how can we make it easy for them so that they have that information provided to them? So we will definitely make sure we find out so that we know the answer to that. You're welcome. And it looks like April, yes.
You may not be able to answer this question like right now, but I think one thing I didn't see on that DEI action plan is how the district is planning to address mental health for our students. Because, I think, for example, like my daughter is dealing with some significant mental health challenges as a result of pandemic, and we've had a lot of losses in our family. And trying to figure out ways in which to wrap her with supports, particularly through the school, has been a bit of a challenge. So just curious, at some point to maybe have a conversation about that, or just maybe dig deeper, because I recognize that like a lot of the reason why our children are having many of the challenges that they're having is related to mental health. And so, that being a root cause and not seeing that addressed is not concerning per se, but just wondering if that's on y'all's radar.
Sure. We'll the next diverse conversations that we'll have, we can focus on what we do have for mental health. I know we did that, I believe, last year, and I kind of skimmed through it. Obviously, it's one of those things where we need more and more and more. But one thing that the district did do was we hired a social worker for every school. And that was something that we did not have before the pandemic. So we were able to use money from the pandemic to hire the social workers. And then our board said, we want to keep them. So we found a way to fund so that every school site has a social worker there. And it is for students. We also have a psychologist dedicated to every school site as well. So you have a psychologist on staff and a social worker, and they're part of their job is to not only do like one-on-ones, but to develop group sessions and other opportunities and give support where needed so that students can get, what they need when they need it, but it's still not enough. We understand that. So we'll definitely build up on that so that we can share some other things that we're doing and some other things that we have and making sure that parents know.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm a slow typist, so I'll speak up. Perhaps reaching out to parents based on their child's interests. I know we have a large group of parents whose kids participate in sports, maybe reaching out individually to them, highlighting how your child being in football will link up with their academic potential for getting into a particular college. I think if I were that parent, I'd be more interested in coming to this conversation. Same thing with students who are involved in music or any of those extracurricular activities where parents have already shown a vested interest, linking it up with their child's education and featuring a topic for the conversation that addresses that particular niche group, if you will. Because you're right, parents love their kids. They are involved, right? At the level that they can be. But maybe we need to find out where they are, put that carrot out there and say, and this will help your child get to that next level. That's my suggestion, because you're right, Deidre, you guys are doing 100% of what you can to reach parents, but maybe we just have to fine tune it a little more.
You're right. You hit it on the nail. And you know what? We changed this year to flip it to exactly what you said, to like, let's come up with things that we know parents are thinking about and need. And we have actually the athletic one that you just talked about coming up in January. And that's like one of our most popular one. And we call it, So You Think You Have a College Athlete. And I tell you, the parents come out of the woodworks for that one.
Right.
But we did one on TikTok. And is TikTok consuming your child and, social media? Because we know these kids cannot stay off the phone.
And their parents and us, they're not the only ones.
Included, right? But they just TikTok happy. You know what I mean? I get like 5 of them sometimes in a day, but so yes, but you know what? We understood why all of us are so hooked. And the social worker that we used who did the work to put the presentation together, she broke it down how these companies, how they have designed it to keep us hooked, all of us on this. It was so good. And we had so much interest. We also did one 2 weeks ago on, funding your students' college dreams, because we know parents always want their students to be successful. So we've been changing the names of the presentations to be more enticing. So they say, ooh, we have 50% attendance. So out of the 100 and something families that registered, over 50% attended. So it is exactly what you said, tapping into what parents want, but also what they need and reaching out to them. So thank you, because that just reaffirms, and we'll keep continuing down that path. Well, thank you. Yes, April, we're over time, but thank you so much. Thank you, Amber, Lachey, I think, I don't know if it's Max or Matthew, but if it's shortened, but thank you all so much. We appreciate you, and we'll keep you in our directory so that we can do some special outreach, and hopefully you'll come back and support us. Have a good one.
Great. When is the next one?
Well, tonight is at 6, but the next one meeting sometime in January. It's on our list. Is it February, Lisa? We've already got the date on our schedule for the next Diverse Conversations. We'll put it in the email. So we're going to send a thank you email. We're going to send the presentation, and we will send the date and the registration for the next one. It's not till February, but we'll go ahead and get it going now so that we have ample time to let families know.
Thank
And
you.
we'll get those questions answered and get back to you via email.
Okay,
right.
appreciate you. Bye
Thank
now.
you. Bye.